Welcome to the Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk all things hockey, interview players, and help new ones learn the game. If you want to learn something new about hockey, this is your show. Get ready, you're listening to the Rothstein Hockey Podcast. And welcome back to the Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is episode 10. I am with my old teammate, Ben Coleman from the Montgomery Cheetahs and the great old state of Maryland. How are you doing, Ben?
Pretty good. Pretty good today. How are you?
I'm doing great and sounding good. That's all good. I'm sweating. I don't know why, but I mean, like, it's Florida. Of course, it's hot here. Okay, so in episode 9, I talked about who I thought was going to win the Stanley Cup. I've looked at the LA Kings. I've looked at the Panthers and the Lightning, and the Oilers still were coming to mind. And if you listen to the bonus episode, it was, I think the Avalanche were going to be the next team to repeat potentially. But I think right now, the Panthers have one of the best chances of just getting there because of Barkov and Huberdeau. And you've got, and I think you're going to, but I think you're going to see the same, both the Lightning and the Avalanche again. And I want to get your thoughts on who you think's going to the playoffs and who you think will meet in the next Stanley Cup.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that comes to mind is it is the Avalanche, especially after we've seen this. I guess it's becoming more and more teams build. You have Pittsburgh, and then you have the Lightning, and you're seeing these teams, whether it's whatever it may be, but you see these teams making it deep in the playoffs or even the Stanley Cup year after year after year. And that may be something that's changing in our game. Maybe we need to take a look at salary cap. I don't know. That said, I'm not so sure that this is going to be a repeat for the Avalanche. I'm not quite sure what their thinking was, but it seems that they've traded away half their team, including people like Darcy Kemper, Burakovsky, and a bunch of others that really helped them through. And I get that there may be a long-term strategy here, but my concern is you trade away most of your good players that brought you to where you are, and I'm not sure that's going to help them in the short term. So I'm a little concerned about that move. Now, some of the trades they made that may substantially help those teams, for example, the Capitals, the fact that they got Darcy Kemper after really not having consistent goaltending since Braden Holtby, particularly in the years in 2018 when he took his team to the Stanley Cup final. That said, I'm always hesitant to say right before the season starts that a new players are going to get the Capitals to the finals, because it seems like it's notoriously a problem where they get good players and then all of a sudden they start playing poorly, or just not to the extent that they did in their previous team.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't jump on it too soon.
I mean, I'm not going to jump on anything 100%. I'm still a bit unsure who their starting goalie is at this point. Like, who do you think they'll nail down for the Avalanche?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they definitely put themselves in a bit of a, not like as I was referring to earlier, I'm not sure they put themselves in a good short-term situation. I get this is a business, but at the end of the day, if you want to take your team to the Cup 2-3 years in a row, like we've seen with Tampa Bay and a number of years ago, Pittsburgh, they really had those teams and they didn't trade all their players away. So I think that's going to be the difference between those two teams in the past and the Avalanche here.
I think the Capitals are going to make the playoffs again. I think with Ovi, a lot of people say that he's not going to have another 50-goal season again. I think it's going to happen next year again, and it's just very weird to me that everyone's just writing him off so much. But he's, his production value has been incredible. Moving on from the Caps, the Islanders were close last year of making the playoffs. I think, the Metropolitan and the Atlantic divisions of the Eastern Conference are going to be just tight. It's tight. It's like I don't know what's going on this, Eastern Standard Time Zone, because a lot of other sports leagues are tight there, but I'm glad it gives something good as well. The team that I think is the least likely to win the Stanley Cup has got to be the Detroit Red Wings. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say they've got some problems. I'm not 100%, not as familiar with them as perhaps other teams like the Caps or the Avalanche as referred to earlier. But it seems like for some time now, they really haven't had the talent. They've traded the talent away, or the guys. It just has not been consistency or really play that is playoff worthy, let alone second round or cup worthy. So I don't see them really getting to that caliber necessary to get into the playoffs, and definitely deep into the playoffs anytime soon.
I don't think Seattle's got it. I don't think Toronto's going to get it. I do not think we're going to see another team from up north win it for a while. The Oilers, if I had the best chance to win it, Oilers or the Flames. That's who I'm taking. I'm not taking the Canadians or the Leafs or the Senators or the Canucks, and certainly not the Jets. You never take the Jets. Apparently, Jets tend to crash whether they're from New York. Wow. That did not mean to come off like that. But they tend to, Jets are not known for being safe. That was a bad joke, was it?
Not really, given the fact. Well, I wouldn't say so.
Okay, all right, the Jets need oil to fly, and you're not going to get it whether you're in Winnipeg or New York. But there's parallels to there, is what I'm saying. I can't believe that. Hopefully I'm not canceled for that joke. But it was not about 9/11. Calm down, everyone. So it was about filling the plane's engine. Okay. So yeah, Winnipeg, Dustin Byfuglien is not playing anymore, correct?
As far as I know, definitely not making that. Even if he is, definitely not making impact. I mean, I'm going to actually pull up his hockey reference page, and this is why we do this. Dustin, he stopped playing in 2019 for whatever reason, and he was only 33. He got 4 goals. He played in 42 games. Yeah, so even the good ones just can't do it anymore. But he was playing defense too, so I don't think he was really overall a bad scorer or anything. He was I guess he just got off to a bad time. I mean, Dustin Byfuglien was still, the reason why people came out to Atlanta and then, go to Winnipeg, and he still did pretty well.
despite, that time. I mean, as well, he was playing in most of the games, for a while. He played, but he never played a full season. He actually played in Chicago, so he did win a Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks in 2010. So there was that. And then win it. And I think his best chance to win a cup was in 2018, but they lost to the Golden Knights. So there's that. Yeah. The New York Rangers, do you think they could pull it off? They could be a dark horse?
I do. I think they have good chances for some time to come. It's advantage ad or really throughout their whole roster. They're tough to stop. They're very tough to stop. I believe they made it into the second or third round. Pretty good young goaltending.
They almost got in, but I mean, the Lightning just have.
It's the Lightning.
It's the Lightning. They got Nick Paul. They got Stamkos. They got who else? They have. I don't know, Andre Vasilevsky, of course. I mean, the Brickhouse kid. I mean,
yeah. And then Kucherov, that guy is impossible to stop.
These guys are tough too. They've certainly earned the name the Lightning. I mean, not since St. Louis and Le Cavalier and Happy Bullet have you had a team that good too. As well, it's just fun to watch, especially when you're in Florida as well. But seeing them lose to the Avalanche was a bit heartbreaking. I'm not going to lie.
Personally, I'd stand on the other side of it, but that's just because once you get to a point where there's so many the teams are winning so many years in a row, it's nice to have a change. But that's just my opinion. That's why I don't like University of Alabama football. But that's another issue.
Oh, man, I don't even know how many minutes we're in this, but I'll go till, I could easily go another 30 minutes before I have to close this off. And this is going to the cloud too. Weird thing about recording this. Okay, so in the meantime, exhibition starts on, let me see. I've got to look at the schedule again. This is why we bring this up. So it's September. So exhibition season is going to be on. It's not really anything like baseball exhibition, but it still has its perks, as well. Do you know when exhibition starts for the Capitals?
For the Caps, yeah, they've got it's next Sunday, the 25th. I want to say it's against the Blue Jackets, but I'm holding to that. No, yeah, it's against Buffalo at 2 p.m. on the 25th.
Buffalo, and on the 25th, and I'm still waiting for this to load. So there's an exhibition game on October 1st for the Hurricanes against the Florida Panthers, if you are a Panthers or Hurricanes fan. So awesome. September, but in September, they go to Nashville. They get 2 games for a doubleheader there, and then they have another exhibition with Carolina in Sunrise, Florida. So just keep an eye out for that. And then on the 6th of October, they play the Lightning at home, and then they play the Lightning again while they're away, and they open against the New York Islanders in Long Island. And their first home game is against Philadelphia, again, in not BBT Arena, FLA Live. I will never get used to that. Just saved my life, as well. So, and then next away game is in Chicago at United Center against the Blackhawks on October 25th. So hockey is going to be in full swing soon.
And what are your... go ahead.
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts about this whole like home and away, just like each team playing the same 3 teams throughout the preseason? I don't know how recent that is, but it seems to me like it's not so much fun. I mean, I get regular season, they play pretty much everybody. But that being said,
I think it's sort of stupid. I mean, just play 6 teams at that point. I don't care who you play. I mean, I get something like for the Devils, they play the Rangers or the Islanders or something. And of course, it makes sense for the Panthers to play the Lightning. But like I don't care who the Capitals play. Like, as long as it's 6 different teams, I don't care. I like just like, I mean, baseball exhibition makes a little more sense with that because there's more games to cover over the entire course of the season for them. They play 82 games. They only play about half of the MLB. So make it make sense. Everyone has to face everyone. Just put 6 different teams and then just go to regular season facing a different team. Not the same ones you face. Not the same ones you face. But 6 different teams. The Capitals could play the Red Wings and, the Canucks or the Kraken. And then they just start at home against, the Flyers or the Devils or even the Bruins. But like, start with your division, your conference first in the regular season, but you can face off against other teams outside of it. But so just rotate it around because I think it does get stale when you face the Devils 2 or 3 times over.
Yeah, like this time, it looks like this year it's actually 4 different teams for the Caps: Buffalo, Philly, Detroit, and Columbus.
Okay.
But again, that being said, a little bit of variation would be nice, even for the preseason, because you have in the preseason you have some of these younger guys that probably going to go back for the Caps to Hershey or wherever the minor league team is, so they're not going to get a whole lot of professional time. So don't you want to give them time facing different teams, more than 3-4 of them? I'd make the argument that they should make the most of the preseason, and there's a better way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think 32 teams is still important. The NFL is the only other sports league that does this. The NBA doesn't do it, and MLB doesn't do it. I don't know. I think it's just, it's cost too. You have the Golden Knights in Vegas, which, I think where were you the first time you heard that, oh yeah, Vegas is going to get a hockey team? Like supposedly, like it was like, I don't know. It had to have been like in 2011. Like I started hearing rumors about that, and I'm like, and people were making jokes online, like, yeah, you can stay for the whole game and get a dinner, and it'll be like a boxing match sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because there were no big 4 sports out in the freaking desert, and it was enough. It was already hard enough to keep the Coyotes there, and no one thought it would work, yet it did.
It's hard enough to keep their ice normal. If I recall, they had some problems in the playoffs last year. A couple years ago, 2018. I
mean, geez, it's been 4 years since the Caps hoisted the cup. I think that's going to be it for Ovechkin. I don't think, if he wins another one, just, offhand, I think it's going to be interesting, to see it too.
He's got 4 years left. There's no way they're going to renew his contract. Well, at least he's not going to agree to it. I think it's pretty clear that 4 years will be done.
Yeah,
and he'll pass Gretzky. That's not the question. I think the question is when. And if he's getting these 40, 50 goal seasons, which he's clearly capable of, and I think this goal of beating Gretzky is a significant motivation for him to get there. I think he'll get there. I'm not great with stats, but I'd say maybe not this season, but the following one is probably reasonable.
Stamkos, Crosby, McDavid, and Matthews are like your next 4 big goal scorers. I'll take Malkin, not so much, but I've got to take if there's another person who could potentially do it, I'll take Matthews to win it, to beat Gretzky, but he's going to need to have a few 60-goal seasons in order to do it. I think he's capable of, having 2 or 3, oddly enough. And if he takes Ovechkin, then I think we're going to have that would also be good for the sport. It sort of needs to happen, and as well for the sport to grow. Without the record being broken, it sort of it just doesn't, if he came up short, I think that would be more devastating than anything. But he needs to pass Gretzky. No one's touching his assists. No one's touching his points.
Oh no.
I think he's, if he died tomorrow, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. We'd pull it off Roberto Clemente style in a heartbeat, but yeah, he's got to be I do think he's going to take it too. If he needs to play an extra year to do it, he will. And I think, the fact that the 2020 season was shortened too, and he had to deal with a lockout, Gretzky didn't have to deal with that too. Do you think Ovechkin is just a better player overall when you compare him to Gretzky?
I think that's an interesting question. And I'll first start off by mentioning this. As far as people that maybe aren't as significant hockey fans, we don't know that much about the difference in the game back when Gretzky played and the game nowadays. Is the game nowadays compared to decades ago when Gretzky played, it's much more of a defensive and in turn low scoring game than it was when Gretzky played, which is partly why his assists and points are off the charts. And even Gretzky, I think, if he came back these days at his age that he was when he was playing, I don't think his numbers would hit that high. And the fact that, at least in goals, Ovechkin's going to pass him at some point is right now clearly making a run for his money. I think that does say something about Ovechkin, whether or not he's better than Gretzky. I don't know if we can make that comparison, but the fact that Ovechkin's doing this in a game, at least most of his career, that's been more defensive, I think that is telling. But I think it's still hard to compare one player to another, especially when they're playing a different position. And Ovechkin's only played on one team with only so many people and hasn't gone to as many playoffs. So I think it's somewhat comparing apples to oranges. But that being said, I definitely think it's significant that Ovechkin's scoring is going to be passing Gretzky in a much more defensive game.
100%. I think like the training is different too. And Gretzky never played in the butterfly era at all too. The butterfly era of goalies just, plopping down and being on the inside of their shins was, telling. And we can thank Tretiak for that. And he's still kicking it at 70 years of age. I do think, if that technique never came up, the butterfly technique, I don't know if anyone else would have discovered this at all, or if they would have just done the traditional plop on your knees, Terry Sawchuk style of goaltending, that would have been very interesting of how we did things as well. I mean, the game itself changed after 2005, 2006, when like that was clearly the beginning of the end. But Patrick Waugh was like the first one in the NHL to like really get this down, and that's why I admire him and why I think he's the best. Who do you think is the best goaltender of all time?
I'd have to agree with you with Patrick Waugh, at least going maybe on the older, going further back end. I think these days but yeah, kind of with Gretzky, I think you have to look at the era, and last couple decades. I'd argue it could be Marty Brodeur. He's gone now, and then you get guys like Vasilevsky. We'll see how Darcy Kemper's career goes. I'm not sure he would reach that point, but he's got some good things ahead of him.
Jonathan Quick is someone that I just can't get enough of. 2012 and 2014 was perhaps the best. He played out of his mind personally during those two Stanley Cups. I don't think we'll see, in terms of performance, I want him as well. Another interesting goalie that won the Conn Smythe, who is just gone now, is Tim Thomas. I don't think he's gone. Miller, yeah, geez, and he was still the backup in the Olympics to Ryan Miller too, which is I think that should tell you that this game is hard. It's I peaked at this at the age of 20, and I've got to tell you, it's just it's very difficult to maintain your in shapeness and everything. It's hard. It is hard to do that as well. I think if Gordie Howe were alive for the right now, he'd be proud of Ovechkin for passing him for one thing. Yeah. And then Gretzky, Gretzky still has to congratulate him too. I think Gretzky's really, the sense I'm getting is that Gretzky almost wants him to pass. Not so much the issue of ego, but I think he recognizes that it's good. It's good for the sport when not just you have, I guess in this case, Caps fans rooting for Ovechkin, but so many fans supporting all different teams, wanting to see these records broken, and hopefully other players doing it in the future. Because it's more than just one team winning a game or one team winning a conference or one team winning a cup, but of something that is so hard to do over years and years and years of a player fighting that hard to get there. And so I think it's good for the sport and something that fans can, even if they don't like the Capitals or otherwise don't want Ovechkin to succeed winning a Stanley Cup against their team, I think it gives fans something to universally root for, at least to some extent. Yeah. Enough of Ovechkin. I think Crosby is going to play. I don't know if he'll get to another Cup final. I think, until he's gotten, 5 years left or so. I think he can make another run for it if he pushes it. And I can respect him a lot. He never had any controversial issues. I've got other than the Capitals, I think, the most, I'm trying to think like who I would pick as the most interesting player, in recent memory too. Would I pick Joe Sakic? Would I pick, Lemieux in that? I think if I had to like really, put something on this, like despite everything, I would probably say that Mario Lemieux really was the better player over Gretzky because he had so many Hall of Famers with him during those runs, during the runs, during his 4 Stanley Cup runs, or anytime he played in the finals, he had his runs with them and was in the playoffs with them. He had Messier, he had Curry, he had Anderson, he had Coffey, he had Grant Fuhr in net. He had everyone I just listed is in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, right? As far as I know.
Okay. All right. Mario Lemieux had Paul Coffey. He did have Yager, and Ron Francis didn't arrive until a little later, but he still managed to pick up 2 cups in a row. I think, like, if they were to switch positions too, I mean, like, would he have done better? I don't know, but I think it's that, it's how do you perform without your ace too? Like,
yeah.
Because think about this, anyone could just drive to work when it's 72 degrees and sunny and there's no freaking traffic on the highway. It's how you deal with the traffic jams and the rain and the hail and the snow and that, and the guy cutting you off trying to get ahead just to save 5 seconds. And we did get to see that with the Kings, and he did manage to take them to the finals, even though he wasn't exactly in his prime. The controversial Gilmore call that really should have been called too, which cost the Leafs a finals appearance too, which, had Gretzky gone to the box, Gilmore probably scores and they're in. And that was in overtime too. One goal away from heaven. And we could have had an original 6 matchup in the 90s. That never happened though. Never happened. To listen to the full episode of the podcast, please subscribe to my Substack. It's $5 for paid members or $50 per year. The link is in the show notes. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.